Let me ask you something. What would you do if fear wasn't in the way? What would you chase if doubt didn't whisper? What if you fail? Most people tiptoe through life, hoping to make it safely to death. But you weren't born to live safe. You were born to live bold. See, fear is a liar. It's loud. It screams every reason why you can't. It shows you worst case scenarios like they're the only outcomes. But here's the truth: fear is just imagination without discipline. You created it, and you can shut it down. Let me tell you, fear has killed more dreams than failure ever will. The graveyard is full of unfulfilled ideas, buried visions, and silenced potential. Not because people weren't smart enough, not because they lacked opportunity, but because they were too afraid to start. Let me be clear. Playing it safe is risky. That 9 to 5 you hate. That relationship that drains your spirit. That dream you keep postponing. You're not avoiding risk. You're trading the risk of failure for the guarantee of regret. Listen, the moment you decide to crush fear, you step into your real life. Not the life you were handed, but the one you were born for. You've got to jump. You've got to leap when the net isn't visible. You've got to bet on yourself when nobody else does. Yes, you might fall. You might fail, but you'll grow. You'll learn. And most importantly, you'll live. Because comfort zones don't grow people. Fear may protect you from pain, but it also protects you from purpose. I don't know who needs this today, but hear me. Take the risk. Make the call. Launch the idea. Speak your truth. Move in faith. You're not supposed to shrink to fit in. You're meant to rise and stand out. The world doesn't need a copy of someone else. It needs you, fully awake, fully alive, fully brave. So go ahead. Crush the fear. Embrace the risk. And watch life open up in ways you never imagined. Fear is not a monster under your bed. It's not a physical wall holding you back. Fear is a story, a script you wrote in your own mind based on what might happen. It feeds off imagination. It creates vivid scenes of failure, rejection, embarrassment, and pain. But here's the truth. None of that is real until you give it power. Fear lives in the future, in the unknown, in the shadows of what if. And when you keep rehearsing those what ifs, you paralyze yourself before you even try. The danger is fear disguises itself as logic. It sounds like caution, responsibility, or being realistic. It whispers, wait a little longer, maybe next year, or let's play it safe. But underneath those soft words is a hard truth. Fear wants to keep you still. It doesn't want you to step out, speak up, or start. It doesn't want you to be bold. Because fear knows once you take action, its power disappears. That's the illusion. Fear looks big until you walk right through it. People often think courage means the absence of fear, but that's not true. Courage is doing it with the fear still in your chest. It's standing up, speaking out, and stepping forward while your heart is pounding. You don't need to wait to feel fearless. You need to act while you're still shaking. You'll never feel ready, and that's okay. What matters is that you don't let a lie, a mental fog, dictate your future. Think about this. How many times in your life have you been afraid to do something? And when you finally did it, you realized it wasn't as bad as you thought. That's the pattern. Fear grows in the waiting. It gets louder the longer you sit still. But the moment you move, the moment you challenge the fear, it starts to fade. Action exposes the illusion. Fear only has power when you believe in the lie more than your potential. Failure stings, but regret haunts. You see, when you fail, at least you tried. You showed up. You took a swing. You moved your feet while others stood still. But regret, that's a slow burn. It creeps in late at night when the world is quiet. It shows up when you see someone else living the life you talked yourself out of. And worst of all, it can't be undone. You can recover from failure. You can rebuild, regroup, relaunch. But you can't rewind time to take a shot you never took. So many people are so focused on avoiding failure that they end up building lives they don't even want. They say things like, "What if it doesn't work?" But flip that question, what if it does? What if the business takes off? What if the book touches millions? What if the idea you're scared to pursue is the exact thing you were born to do? Most people never get to find out, not because they weren't capable, but because fear of failure stopped them from ever trying. And in the end, that is what they regret, not the mistakes, but the moments they let pass by. Failure is feedback. It's education. It teaches you in real time. You learn what works, what doesn't, who you are under pressure, and what you're really made of. Some lessons can't be found in books. They're found in the doing. You don't build strength without resistance. You don't build resilience by getting it right every time. It's the missed shots, the closed doors, the failed attempts that shape you into someone who can handle more. Every failure is a tool, if you let it teach you. But regret is cold. It doesn't teach. It reminds. It replays. It keeps you stuck in what could have been, instead of what can still be. You can talk yourself into staying safe, but you can't talk yourself out of wishing you had taken the chance. People don't reach the end of their lives wishing they had played smaller. They wish they had gone after the dream, said how they felt, or risked being seen. Failure might knock you down, but regret will hold you down, and that's the real danger. Of course, Here's an verse expanded version of Key Point No. 3 Free Sussex. In the same voice and tone, laid out over 4 strong paragraphs, with no conclusion or ending. Comfort zones feel safe, but they're silent prisons. They wrap around you like a warm blanket, whispering, "Stay here, you're fine." And at first, that voice feels comforting. But stay there too long, and you'll start to feel something else. A restlessness, a quiet ache, a sense that life is passing you by. That's because you weren't built to settle. You were designed to evolve, to stretch, to grow. And growth never happens in places of ease. When you stay in your comfort zone, everything around you might look stable, but inside, your spirit begins to shrink. Dreams don't die overnight. They die slowly in the corners of comfort. You stop pushing. You stop risking. You convince yourself that good enough is enough, even when your heart is screaming for more. And the longer you stay in that space, the more distant your potential becomes. Because here's the harsh truth. Comfort is not safety. It's stagnation. People think discomfort is a sign to back off. But discomfort is the birthplace of transformation. It's the resistance that builds your muscle. It's the tension that forces you to pay attention. When you challenge yourself, when you walk into the unknown, fumble, stumble, and still keep going, that's when something inside you comes alive. You discover new strengths. You meet a version of yourself you never knew existed. That version doesn't live inside the lines. That version is forged in uncertainty. Comfort zones don't just block growth. They kill momentum. The longer you stay still, the harder it gets to move. What once felt like a pause becomes your normal. You become the person who's to dream, who's to believe, who's to try. And eventually, you don't even realize how much you've settled. You stop calling it a comfort zone and start calling it your life. But just because it's familiar doesn't mean it's fulfilling. Just because it doesn't hurt doesn't mean it's right. No one becomes legendary by playing it safe. Greatness doesn't live in the realm of certainty. It lives in risk, in the bold moves, the uncomfortable leaps, the moments where you don't know how it'll end, but you go all in anyway. Every breakthrough in history, every success story, every person who made a dent in the world, they all took a risk. They all stepped out onto a path without guarantees. And if you want to unlock the life you were truly meant for, you'll have to do the same. Taking a risk isn't about being reckless. It's about trusting your calling more than your comfort. It's about putting your dream on the line and saying, "I believe this is worth the shot." You might not have all the answers, all the resources, or a perfect plan. But if you've got the will to start and the courage to stay in the game, you're already further than most. Because most people won't risk their ego, their pride, their fear of failure. And so they never get to taste what success feels like. There's a version of you waiting on the other side of risk. A more confident, powerful, wise, and awakened version. But you can't meet them unless you're willing to break through what's familiar. Playing small never leads to big outcomes. You can't expect massive transformation from minimal effort. That's why risk is the doorway. It tests you, refines you, sharpens your edge. It teaches you what you're made of. When you take a risk, you activate your strength and step into alignment with your potential. Risks stretch you beyond what you think you're capable of. They reveal your grit, your resilience, your hunger. Even when the risk doesn't lead to the result you wanted, it leads to the person you needed to become. And that person, they're stronger. They're bolder. They've got scars, but they've also got stories. Stories of standing up, showing up, and never giving up. That's what risk gives you. Not just a reward, but a reinvention. Too many people are waiting for a sign, some big, dramatic moment to confirm they're ready. But readiness doesn't come before the journey. It comes because of the journey. The truth is, you already have everything you need inside you. The strength, the vision, the resilience, the fire. It's already there. You don't need permission. You don't need perfect conditions. What you need is to start showing up for yourself like your future depends on it. Because it does. You weren't born with fear. You were taught it. Life conditioned you to question your worth, to play it small, to doubt your voice. Somewhere along the way, you started believing that greatness belonged to them. The talented, the lucky, the chosen few. But the truth, they're not more capable than you. They just acted on what they had. They stepped forward, even when they were scared. They trusted themselves in moments when nothing around them made sense. And that's a choice you can make too. You don't have to be fearless to begin. You just need to be brave enough to move with the fear still in your bones. Fear doesn't mean stop. It means you're stretching. You're stepping into something bigger than your past. And if you listen closely, that fear, it's a signal. It means you're close to something that matters. Don't run from it. Lean in. Let it remind you that you're growing, that you're expanding, that you're alive. Action doesn't follow confidence. Confidence follows action. You don't need another degree, another follower, another voice telling you what you already know. Deep down, you are enough. You have fought battles nobody knows about. You've made it through days you thought would break you. And you're still standing. That alone makes you qualified to try to risk, to reach. The world tries to sell you the idea that you need to be more. But the truth is, you just need to believe more in who you already are. Too many people are waiting for the stars to align, waiting for more time, more money, more clarity, more support. They say, when things settle down, I'll start. But life doesn't reward those who wait for perfect conditions. It rewards those who move with imperfect courage. Your dream isn't waiting on better timing. It's waiting on you to decide. Decide that the fear doesn't get to speak louder than your vision. Decide that today, not someday, is the moment to begin. There is no such thing as the right time. The right time is a myth. It's a trap that convinces you to delay your destiny. Every person who ever created something meaningful did so in the middle of chaos, doubt, and uncertainty. They didn't have it all figured out. They didn't wait for all green lights. They just started. They built while they were walking. They trusted the process more than the plan. And that's what courage looks like. Action, not absence of fear. If you keep waiting for everything to make sense, you'll miss your moment. Life doesn't pause so you can catch up. The opportunity you're praying for may never feel convenient. But that's the point. It's meant to stretch you. It's meant to challenge who you've been so you can become who you're supposed to be. That next level of your life isn't on a schedule. It's on the other side of a leap. Not a guaranteed outcome, but a bold step forward in faith. Courage isn't loud. Sometimes it's just a whisper. Do it anyway. It's waking up with doubt in your mind and fire in your gut. It's showing up when you're unsure. It's speaking up when your voice shakes. Your dream doesn't need perfect plans or approval from the world. It just needs you to trust that what's inside you is real and worth pursuing. Because it is. That vision, that passion, that thing you can't stop thinking about, it didn't come to you by accident. It came to you to move you. So here you are, standing on the edge of what was and what could be. Fear is still whispering. Doubt is still tapping your shoulder. But now you know the truth. Fear may walk with you, but it doesn't get to lead you. You've got one life, one shot, one chance to take this breath and turn it into something bold. Don't let it slip away while you wait for certainty. The fire you feel inside you, that's your future trying to break through. Let it. Stop rehearsing failure. Stop protecting comfort. Stop watering down your calling just to fit into a box someone else built for you. You were never meant to play small. You were never meant to dim your light. Now is the time. Crush the fear. Embrace the risk. Step into the unknown like you were born for it. Because you were. And when you do, You won't just find success. You'll find yourself.